Hey y'all. Hey. Listen. Happy Saturday. That was actually the name of that song, y'all. Was Happy Saturday, right? So yeah, welcome y'all. I know it's late. Look, sister's a little bit look, I'm ready for because I get up early, right? So, but I don't know. I always say I'm spirit led. So I definitely want to be obedient. And sometimes that does not fall into alignment with what my vision of my day should look like or what it usually looks like, right? So peace and blessings to everybody. Come on in, y'all. I'm actually there's a song that I want to set the mood for because this live is gonna be a little heavy. And for those that are coming in and catching the replay, because I know initially this is a late stream, especially for me, right? I definitely want to at least balance the mood. Sometimes conversations need to be said, they need to be had, they need to be iterated. Um, and it's all about the delivery. So I pray and I prayed for a smooth delivery to where people are more open to receive the message and at least allow a seed to be planted. Because in order for there to be any type of movement or motion or a desired resolution, right? A seed has to be planted. So, with that being said, come on into the chat. Come on into the chat. I don't know what's going on the YouTube streets. Like I said, I was spirit led to go live, and here I am, right? So I know, you have to be sensitive when it comes to this YouTube thing and copyrights and music and all that. But there's a song that I want to sing, and I'm gonna do it a cappella, but I want to do it off camera, right? I'm gonna do it off camera so you can get the voice and not have to juggle the vision and the images with the voice, right? So this is where we going with it. I'm taking a leap today. Let's go. You're here, I'm pleased. I really dig your company, your smile, your peace mentality. Lord, have mercy on me. I was blind, now I can see what a king's supposed to be. Baby, I feel free. Come on and go with me. Let's take a long walk around the park after dark. Find a spot for us to spark conversation, verbal elation, stimulation, share our situation, temptation, education, relaxation, elevation. Maybe we can talk about Surah 31:18. Your background, it ain't squeaky clean shit. Sometimes we all got to swim upstream. You ain't no saint, we all are sinners, but you put your good foot down, make your soul a winner. I respect that. Man, you're so fat, and you're all that. Plus supreme, then you're humbled, and I'm numb, you're the feeling. I can feel everything that you bring. Let's take a long walk around the park after dark. Find a spot for us to spark conversation, verbal elation, stimulation, share our situation, temptation, education, relaxation, elevation, and maybe we can talk about Revelations 3:17, or maybe we can see a movie, or maybe we can see a play on Saturday, or maybe we can roll a tree and feel the breeze and listen to a symphony, or maybe chill and just be. Or maybe we can take and listen to some roots and maybe eat some passion fruit and maybe even cry to the blues. Or maybe we can just be silent. Listen, I ain't gonna torture y'all, but I was feeling it. I was feeling the spirit. Amen, amen. Salute to my chat. Salute to my chat. We got Miss Thrower in the building, Brooklyn Hood. Peace and blessings to you, Miss Divine D. Yes, thank you, Miss Phoenix. Miss Phoenix Rising. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for the motivation to keep going, because life be lifing, y'all. Life be lifing, and I know we can all relate to that, right? Um, Listen, so I'm not one for long intros. And when it's spirit led, sometimes you just feel compelled to kind of get to the point of the matter. And anybody that knows anything about me, even though I'm relatively new, to the YouTube arena, um, but if you've watched any of my lives, it doesn't take long to realize that I'm passionate about our children. I'm passionate about the family unit. I'm passionate about what God has intended for us, right? And how far we have fallen from grace, and how far um, we are just in general when it comes to the family unit, y'all. If we keep it a buck and we keep it real, we don't really, many of us don't have that family core and that family unit. We just don't. Um, it's been systematic, in my opinion. It's been by design. It's been in the making, right? It's been something that it started out as a vision. And by the time it's put into manifestation, it's kind of too late for us to figure out what's going on, or to make a difference at that point, right? So, in the midst of saying all of that, um, we are in a time where our children are being totally put in a position to be attacked. Um, there's an agenda in place. There's a lot that's going on. It's not a secret. And if it was at one point, I don't think it is anymore. And the point of the matter is that a lot of us are procreating and we're growing families, and everything looks so uncertain and so unsure for what's to come. And I had this video was sent to me, and I haven't seen it because I feel like if I watch it, then I won't do a reaction on it, or I won't, I'll choose something else. But because I feel this is an important topic, and it's something that needs to be said and shared, I don't have an issue with being totally transparent, authentic for the first time around, and we'll be seeing this together collectively. But if we don't fight for our children, then who will? Who will? Y'all, hold on a second, because something's going on with my connection. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me okay. Put a 2 in the chat if, if you put it, you're not going to put a 2 if you don't know what's going on, but put a 1 in the chat if everything's good, because I think my chat stopped. So I'm going to reload, and we'll try it. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Divine D. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure everything was good. So the topic of this live can go in a few different directions, but we're going to start off with I feel like there's a disconnect in the maternal and in the motherly relationship in regards to bearing life and having a connection with that life. It is designed originally in the original, just all you have to do is look at the instinctual aspect of it, right? And no matter what species reproduces and procreates, that mother has an involuntary connection with that offspring that they bear life to. And having been blessed enough to bear life to my children, right? I can speak on this and speak from my experience and say to you that the connection, when I say involuntary, I do not mean that in a derogatory fashion. I mean that in the way that it just is what it is. When something grows, formulates, and evolves inside of you into an entire entity, into an entire being with everything all encompassing, you're going to have naturally a connection with that ball of energy. That's just automatic. And I just cannot relate, but the story is becoming more and more common day by day with our children being victims, and their lives are being taken from them super early, to the point where someone like me that has lived some life, I sit back and I say, well, why were they born? And at the very least, with the resolution to that answer that is given to me, the very least, we can spread awareness. We can use them to spread the word so their lives don't go in vain, right? And this is not going to resonate with everybody. Everybody ain't going to have, especially in the sector that I'm in, they're not going to, some people are just not, and that's fine. But for the ones that it does resonate with, for those that may have children, that may have grandchildren, and you understand as a grandparent the magnitude of your role and the blessing that it provides for that grandchild. For those that have nieces and nephews that maybe don't have children, but that allows them the ability to be able to nurture other people's children, right? Children are our future. And that's just, it sounds cliche, but that's what it is. And we're just at that point where we need to sometimes do our part, whatever that looks like to us, to advocate for our children. Because if we don't, they're not going to know how to advocate for themselves. And that's real talk. So I'm going to go ahead and start this video. Like I said, this is the first time that I've seen it, and this is going to be an authentic reaction. And we're just going to go from here and pray ourselves through it. Hold on, y'all.
To the edge of death.
He's standing over Robert for about 3-4 seconds, and that's when 2 shots went off. And Robert didn't move at all.
By assault, I punched her. I have put a bag over her head till she lost consciousness.
These are some of the faces of the most notorious and dangerous women who ended up in prison.
Hold on. Like I said, this is my first time going through this too, but words matter. And I want to see the picture.
To see how these women reacted to their sentence.
Robert didn't move at all.
By assault, I punched her. I have put a bag over her head till she lost consciousness.
These are some of the
Okay, so let's look at this for a second before we even get off into what everything, is being said and how this is going to be specific to each individual in their situation. But if you look at all these pictures, the first thing that strikes me personally are their eyes. I was always taught that the eyes are the mirror of your soul. And without it being explained to me and just that being said alone, I sit back and when I look at people's eyes, a lot of times the eyes tell a story that the mouth doesn't. And when it talks about being the mirror of your soul, I totally agree with that. And looking at these mothers here, there's a mixture of different messages that they're sending that I see in their eyes. But one thing that is for certain, that's unanimous amongst them all, is that there's something missing and there's a disconnect. So looking through their eyes for me, it's like, okay, that's telling me the story that we haven't heard yet, right? So let's continue.
the faces of the most notorious and dangerous women who ended up in prison. Let's go to the courtroom to see how these women reacted to their sentences. This case has one of the most dangerous black women you may ever hear of because she intentionally murdered 2 of her children, and she was without remorse all through her trial in court. Let's take a seat at the Wayne County Court to see how it went down. Mitchell Blair stood remorseless and adamant beside her lawyer as she requested a life sentence without parole from the judge in the Wayne County courtroom. After everything, Mitchell pleads guilty to all the charges alleged against her.
Now, the information I have before me is that you want to plead guilty to count 2, the premeditated murder of Stony Blair,
Yes,
and count 3, the felony murder of Stephen Barry.
yes,
Okay, am I correct that you want to plead guilty to those counts?
yes.
Michelle Blair's horrific story began in August 2012 when she came back home to find her youngest son.
I'm already disturbed. My whole spirit over here is doing flips. So I stopped it here because, again, it's the eyes that tell me the story. And whatever your mouth tells you, your body is either going, your mannerisms, the psychology, your body language, either it's going to solidify what your mouth is saying or it's going to contradict what your mouth is saying. Either way, that's going to tell you a story. It's going to tell you the true story. And if you are in tune or you are checking for what the soul is saying, which is through the eyes, as we've been saying, and put that over and take priority over what the mouth is saying, you will have a better opportunity of hitting the true intended intention of that individual than anything else, right? You just got to look for the truth markers, in my opinion. Okay, so let's continue.
Matthew, stimulating himself with a doll. When she asked why he was engaging in such a gross act, he confessed that his older brother Stephen had been sexually abusing him. Being a victim of sexual assault herself, Mitchell was enraged and immediately called in Stephen for questioning. While interrogating him, she lost her cool and beat him to death. To make his punishment worse, she poured hot water on his private organs. Once she confirmed he was dead, she packed his body and stuffed it in her deep freezer.
Okay. There's a lot to unpack here, right? Salute to everybody that rewatches the stream, catches it on the replay. Those that are here, I appreciate you. What's up, Bolo? Hey, babes. Hey, babes. We got Charles Robinson in the building. Thank you for everybody that may be watching in the bushes. So this mother, she unalived her 2 children. There's generational trauma that has never been treated, that has never been probably even reiterated or exposed to a large degree until it was too late. And then, of course, people want to make you a study. They want to pry. They want to try to figure some things out. Now you become a priority where I feel like a lot of these women and these mothers, they cry out for help, but we have a lack of people that are listening, right? So, hey, babes. So listen, you go ahead and catch the replay. No, perfectly fine. I know I'm late. I'm later than usual. It's all good. Like I said, I was spirit led, so that's why I'm here. And yeah, thank you for coming through, Bolo. Sweet dreams and sleep well. So when it comes to these mothers, like I said, there's a disconnect that happens, and I think it runs a lot deeper than what is on the surface, but we have to scratch the surface before we can go any deeper, right? So let's continue.
9 months later, Mitchell discovered that her older daughter, Stoney, was also abusing Matthew. So she gave her the same treatment she gave Stephen, but in a different way. Michelle beat and starved Stoney until she died. Then, this remorseless mum of 4 stuffed Stoney's body inside the same freezer where she had put Stephen's dead body 9 months earlier.
I mean, I punched her. I have put a bag over her head till she lost consciousness. I threw hot water on her, scalding hot water from the faucet.
You hit her in the head with them?
Yes, I hit her head multiple times, over and over.
These were all done in May 2013. However, authorities only found out when Mitchell was evicted from her home because she couldn't pay her rent in 2015. Perhaps the most worrying thing about Mitchell Blair is the nonchalant attitude and the lack of remorse she showed while sharing her own account of why she murdered her kids. During the court proceeding, she blamed the fathers of the children for not showing up and insisted that killing them was the right thing to do.
And they want to talk about how they love my daughters. Now they want to be front and center, but they was always in the background. They never did anything for them, never showed up to my door, not once.
She was eventually sentenced by Judge Dana Hathaway to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Wow. So, okay, listen. She had evidently, based off of what we just saw, she has 2 sons, a son and a daughter from 2 different fathers. And they, as she stated, they seem to be not present until they were required to be in court and something happened. And so it seems as if whatever disconnect that may preempted all of this, it didn't help when the ish hit the fan, and now the fathers are there and she's on the hot seat, right? So with that being said, when there's such a disconnect or an imbalance in the home, it becomes an issue when it comes to the children. And our children, when you have children, I was talking to Michelle today, and shout out to Michelle Thoughts. When we were speaking, I just said, when it comes to the children, once you have children and you bear life, and as the mother, it is your responsibility to make that decision. Once you make that decision, you follow through with it. Guess what? That's a calling. It's a calling, period, right? But, you have people that have children for different reasons outside of what the original intent, in my opinion, has been. So we're going to go through one more incident or example on here. I'm not going to make this long, too live. This live too long. It's been a long day. I ain't going to even front y'all. Like I said, sometimes when the spirit moves you, it doesn't matter what you're going through physically or psychologically. Sometimes it's more important to be obedient. And that's what I'm doing. Because normally I'd be calling the hogs, sleep, all of that right about now. However, my spirit's been restless and I've been trying to figure out why, right? Because there's always so much going on. But one thing that always resonates in my spirit and in my soul is when it applies or is relevant to our children. We have to prioritize our children. If you make the decision and take the responsibility to procreate, to go through the actions of creating an entire separate life outside of your own, because outside of that 9 or 10th month gestation period, there's a whole nother entity that once that life enters into this realm, there's nothing you're going to be able to do about that. So you've gone through almost a year of being able to make a conscious decision as a woman, as a mother, as a maternal being, that this is what I choose to do. Well, guess what? You've had enough time. And if you make that decision to procreate and bring life into this realm, then you are responsible for it. Period. End of story. And when you have created that calling in your life, you've created that calling. And when I tell you that there's nothing you can do about that, there's nothing you can do about it at that point, but accept it and do what is required of you as a parent, as a person, as a being that is responsible for somebody else until they're able to be responsible for thyself. And we got people out here using mental illness as an excuse when they fall short and something detrimental happens, or their dirt is brought out the carpet because they've been doing this for so long with possibly multiple different children. But by the time all of this surfaces and comes to pass, you're burying one or more of them. This is bullshit. When are we going to stop making excuses? If you make the intentional decision to procreate and bring children into this world, you have created your path. You only get one shot at raising kids. They grow up fast. And especially in this era where we have technology, where the age of information, they come out understanding things that us old heads still ain't grasped yet. And therefore there's a disconnect. Why? Because nobody trusts nobody. The children aren't even trusting their parents because their parents are neglecting them. And they didn't ask to be here. They didn't ask to be brought here. It infuriates me. You can't talk to me as a woman, as a maternal being, and as a mother if you aren't the primary influence in the upbringing and the rearing of life that you brought, procreated, and manifested by choice, because it took you 10 months to do it. You can't talk to me about neglecting a child in any fashion because of what it requires to bring a child into this world. You got a year almost to reflect and to come to terms with what this is going to require of me. But we have so many narcissistic people, male, female, old, young, middle age, in their right minds, not in their right minds. Narcissism is a cultural brand in this country. And so it's promoted, and we don't even define it as being narcissism until it hits home, right? So it saddens me to see we're just going to get past the point. I'm sorry, or stop at the point where the parents harm the children But prior to that, it's like, where is the bond? Good, bad, indifferent, down the middle. Where is the bond between the parents and the children? Where has that gone? And the reality of the situation that is very difficult, and I teeter totter with it personally, that comes to mind is that the times that we are living in, right? And where we are in the Bible, where we are in the Word. Hold on, y'all. My bad. I got all kind of stuff going on over here. My bad. We're living in a time where it's going with the territory that our children are being targeted for many reasons. They're inexperienced, they're young, they haven't lived enough life in this realm yet, right? And then we have a lot of the parents that are bringing these children into the world for the wrong reasons, whether it's for a paycheck, for a steady income because you don't want to work. You're using the system to benefit you, and you think it's going to benefit the child, but that depends on you, right? There's a lot going on that is not in the favor of our children. And if you are blessed enough to be a parent at this point in time and in the era that we live in, your calling is greater than you understand or realize, especially from 10 years ago. 10 years ago, things were totally different than they are now. We went from one administration to another administration, and we went from being concerned about how the message was being delivered and how curt and rude this person was, to now we are fighting battles that we didn't even see coming as a collective, right? So I need for us to really start reprioritizing what's really important, what really garners and should be garnering our attention. Whether we birthed these children or we didn't, we influence somebody's children. And sometimes the biggest influences come from those that are not blood. But we're living in a time where we don't know who to trust because our discernment is not on point, because we don't take the time to nurture a relationship with who we consider our God. We don't spend enough spiritual time, and we don't exercise our spiritual muscles. And we are in a spiritual war. We are in a war. Selena, yes. Thank you for coming through. I know it's late, baby. Catch the replay. Sleep well. Cutting Edge. It's a pleasure to see you. Thank you for coming through. And we got Samaya. I hope I pronounced it right. Samaya's in the house. Yes, you did catch a live. And normally I don't go live this late, but I'm so glad to see you. And I'm so glad you're here. We're talking about our children. We're talking about the future generation, right? And that what we're dealing with at this point is not a physical or tangible war. It is a spiritual war. And if you are not spiritually connected and armed, you're at a disadvantage. And so are your children, right? So I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to make this a long live. I'm open. I want to do at least one more incident because I want to drive the point home. And again, I haven't seen this video, and we're watching it simultaneously together. I appreciate y'all being here. Sometimes topics are tough. However, there are usually the tough topics are the ones that need to be discussed and talked about the most. Y'all, I listen, I'm going like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. So forgive me and provide me some grace for me stumbling over my words. But I know what I want to say. I know what I want to say. Because when it comes to, I have children, whether they're grown or whether they're minor, at some point they are still considered children because I gave them life with the help of dad, right? And they stayed with me until they didn't need me anymore. It's a calling. It is our responsibility. It is our duty. And it's not an option. And we need to stop treating it like it is an option. It's not. You make the decision to bring life into this world, you are going to be held accountable and you will be held responsible. But I don't care what the spirit of that child is, you are going to be held accountable for what you did or you did not do. That's going to be between you and God. But you will be called to the carpet. Now, the one thing that I will say is that we don't have, like for me, as a first-time mom, nobody gave me instructions. Nobody gave me a manual. Nobody even gave me a help book to say this, because it's tailor-made to every parent and child, and every parent and child don't have the same dynamic. You're not going to yield the same outcome, so you can't seek the same solution. It's good to go off of what other people's experiences are, but you can't look at their solution as being yours when you are not them. And when it comes to parenting, that is a process that you're going to have to just learn yourself through. Period. Pray. Rely on a power higher than yourself to make the life-altering or the life-changing decisions that affect your children. Because guess what? We only get one shot at it. I don't care what nobody has to say to me about nothing. These kids grow super fast. And each school year that goes by, they get shorter and shorter and shorter. Before you know it, they're walking across the stage, making life-altering decisions. And that's where we at with it. So, okay, I done drove the point home long enough. We're going to go through one more of these. Oh, it just breaks my heart. The mother and child court cases where the children have been harmed and the mothers don't seem to have any remorse or any emotional connection to the child at all from the beginning to the end. And like, for me, I can't understand it. I can't really comprehend it. But what I will say is that we need to be aware that there are. I remember a day when I was a kid, if women ended up having children that they did not prepare for, they didn't plan for, and they couldn't care for them properly, there was always a family member, someone close to the family. There was always somebody that was willing to step up and say, you know what? I got this child. I got this baby. I'm here to help. I can bless this child's life and provide them with more resources than you can at this time. And because they grow so fast, you get a small window to be able to get it right. Because once those seeds are planted, that really take an impression upon them, ain't gonna be nothing nobody can say. At that point, they're gonna have to walk through their own journey, right? So, all right, y'all. I know I get long-winded, but like I said, it's a spirit-led. I didn't plan this. This is not, listen, but it is what it is. And I'm going to be obedient to the best of my ability, because even if it's one person, that one person can impact a community, a town, a city, a nation at some point, and maybe even larger than that. Because you never know. It's about the seed that's planted at the right place, at the right time, under the right circumstances. And it's not up to me on who receives that blessing or who I am doing this for, right? Doing it or this for. Look, it's out of my hands as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I just had to say that, right? So let's go. Hold on, y'all. Don't get me to lie. Okay, here we go.
On September 7th, 2011.
Password. I guess I stopped it, y'all. My bad.
The Shelby. She was eventually sentenced by Judge Dana Hathaway to life in prison without the possibility of parole. If you think the case of Mitchell Blair was shocking, wait until you see the case of Shelby Isaac, who reacted in a jarring manner after hearing her sentence. Let's take a seat at the Shelby County Court to see how the trial unfolded. The weight of the sentence delivered by Judge James Lammy was too much for Shelby Isaac to handle, because as soon as she heard she was declared guilty, she passed out and fell to the floor. A lady who appears to be Shelby's attorney was seen patting her back in a bid to calm her down, but as soon as she heard the first judgment, the convict sobbed and collapsed in grief. In the background, a woman believed to be Shelby's mum could be heard wailing. The judge didn't seem bothered by her antics as he continued with his speech, eventually sentencing her to 30 years in prison. He even went ahead to chew gum after reading his sentence, clearly unbothered by their wailing. As Shelby wept and slumped to the floor, he continued reading the sentence, showing very little emotion and concern for the ongoing drama in the courtroom, even as court workers tried to stabilize her before taking her to the hospital. Anyone watching this very emotional court session would have felt pity for Shelby Isaac. However, the gravity of her crime suggests that she deserves the 30-year sentence she got, and maybe even more.
See, that's what I'm having an issue with, because all right, as again, we're watching this video simultaneously for the first time. And the first thing that I'm waiting on and expecting is some type of a preface or context as to how she got 30 years, right? Like the first story we heard where, you know, we knew exactly what happened, how it transpired, how it was generational, all of that, right? It was cumulative. And then now here they told us nothing, but they're talking about, you know, the reaction and the interaction when it came between her actions and the judge's, you know, verdict and how she responded. But that's not giving us a context to the entire picture where there are children involved. I want to talk about the kids. How did we get here, right? What triggered her, or were there missed signals? Maybe she was crying out for help, because a lot of mothers will do that. They will say in their own way and through their own types of behavior that this is too much for me. And people aren't really listening, or they don't know how to listen and clue in on people crying out for help. Either way it goes, I would like context on here. So we'll play a little bit more and see if they provided it, you know, at the end instead of at the beginning.
It all started in January 2016 when Shelby shot the co-owner of a local hair business, Eddie Tate Jr., and his pregnant girlfriend, Edwina Thomas, as reported by the news.
The woman police say shot and killed a man and his pregnant girlfriend is behind bars. Shelby Isaac is now charged with first-degree murder in the deaths of Eddie Tate and Edwina Thomas. She is also charged with the death of Thomas's unborn child.
The then 18-year-old was a regular patronizer of the business. However, the business relationship reportedly broke down on the 22nd of January 2016 when she tried to get a refund for the hair extension she had bought earlier. Another source claimed that she had actually tried to steal the hair weaves from the store. In the end, prosecutors confirmed that she shot both Eddie and his girlfriend in the 2100 block of Westchester Circle. Eddie died at the scene, but Edwina was rushed to the hospital when she eventually gave up the ghost. A co-defendant, Victoria Say, was also questioned during the investigation after it was revealed that she gave Shelby Isaac a lift while she was escaping the scene. Following the incident, Shelby was charged and convicted for the first-degree murder of Eddie and reckless homicide of an unborn baby.
Okay, so I guess we got our answer. That's a lot going on, right? You've got, so she was probably the side, this is just in my opinion, based off of the information I've heard. Sounds like maybe she was a side chick whether it was knowingly or unknowingly, right? He had a whole family at home. He had a growing family at home. So his girl was pregnant. And, because it wasn't handled either truthfully or rationally, it cost some lives, right? So, when it comes to, again, now, and this to me is like a different story, different context, in the subject and the content matter that's being talked about when it comes to the connection between the maternal mother and her children. So in this case, seems like it was some jealousy or enviousness going on, and who knows what the variables are. All we know is what the outcome and the end result is, and that the mother and the child are no longer with us, right? And so, again, when everything is tailor-made, you can't do a one size fits all when it comes to parents, their children, people associated. Like in this case, she was jealous, or there could have been jealousy. She could have been, she could have been lied to, and then she found out. And then when she found out, she didn't handle it well. When it's all said and done, how do we deal with that? How do we handle it? What do we do for a desired outcome? And what nature is our desired outcome, right? So when it comes to parents and children, mothers and children, it just kind of disturbs my spirit, or not kind of, a lot, when there seems to be a disconnect to the point where you don't even value that child's life. We have to protect our children, y'all. We have to put them first. We have to give them options. We have to provide an environment to where they are not in survival mode prematurely. And they can actually be children for as long as it's possible to be in this world that we're living in. That's an issue. Because even if they survive, if they're not spiritually, emotionally, psychologically intact or balanced, the physical is not going to weigh as much of value. It all starts here and on a spiritual plane. And so, again, sometimes, and I'm going to end with this, sometimes you're obedient, you don't even know why, because it don't make sense, right? However, I will say that as long as I am, and as long as I'm spirit led, it doesn't matter what I know, just that I was obedient. So shout out to everybody that came through. For anybody watching the replay, I want to say, please entertain and get the gist, chew the meat and spit out the bones, right? If you haven't subscribed, consider doing so. You're much appreciated. I love all of y'all. And yeah, I appreciate you. I hope you're having a good weekend. I hope everybody's Saturday was good. I meant to kind of lead with that, but sometimes life be life, and it just is what it is. But it doesn't change the sincerity of my heart, right? So I know life be life in y'all, but continue to smile through it. Know that the outcome and the end result is going to be in your favor, and it's going to be through God's hand, because what you believe is going to manifest, right? Sleep well to everybody, because I know I am, child. And I think I'm going to sleep in the morning. But however, yeah, so we just going to go ahead and fade on out. Thank you for being here, and I hope y'all have a great night. right? It's, you know, one of these days I'm gonna get it into a smooth transition, but this ain't it, right? Y'all, I appreciate you. Let's see. Yeah. Good night.